In a small college town in the state of Mississippi, there lies something even smaller. Tucked into an unassuming alleyway in downtown Hattiesburg, it's a secret you have to find. But if you take a stroll downtown, you're sure to stumble upon Mississippi's tiniest museum, the Hattiesburg Pocket Museum. Filled with elaborate miniature scenes and community street art, the Pocket Museum is a wonderful place to visit with friends and family. It also acts as the heart of the community, where locals are encouraged to explore the surrounding downtown area.
Well, the Pocket Museum was developed in 2020 and kind of by accident, so I guess my career is by accident. I don't have museum experience per se, but I'm a curious person and I'm a traveler. The idea for the Pocket Museum came from a trip that my husband and I and our son took 2019 going right into 2020. We were in Switzerland and we heard from less obscure, we read about this museum in an alley. And it was just basically a lady's window that she put little things in it and turned into a museum. And we had heard about it, we wanted to find it, and they didn't have an address. They just had a street. And so we ate dinner one night, and then we all went out and thought, can we find it? And so we walked the streets in Basel, Switzerland, and we found it. And the joy that we got when we found that little museum with little things in it that it wasn't really a museum, but it was so much fun to find. And we went on that trip. We came back. It was January 2020, pretty much forgot about it. March 2020 hit, and you know what happened.
26 employees with the city of Hattiesburg have tested positive for COVID-19 since its outbreak in our state.
The state of Mississippi sets a new record for COVID-19 infections in a 24-hour period.
This will likely pose a significant challenge for our community.
It's a week that is normally used to kick off the summer travel season, but is much different this year due to the pandemic.
Empty parking lots and dining rooms. That's the new normal for restaurants all over Mississippi in a COVID-19 world.
When the coronavirus pandemic hit Hattiesburg in March of 2020, the downtown area was heavily affected. People were staying inside and businesses were closing every single day. There were no big outside areas for the community to safely interact, besides a few local parks that quickly got old.
The zoo was open at that time, kind of open. And every day, Rick and I would drive back from the zoo back home, drive through the streets downtown. There was no one here. And we thought, how is everyone going to survive there's no one downtown?
The historic Sanger Theater opened in 1929 and served as the heart of the Hattiesburg downtown area with a constant stream of shows and performances.
You are finding new bars, new restaurants popping up all the time, with the Sanger serving as the focal point.
But due to COVID, the Sanger Theater lacked the ability to put on these shows, and the theater fell silent.
Rick manages the Sanger, the Convention Center, the zoo. All of those places were closed because of large capacity, events.
And obviously folks needed something to do. They needed something free, something outside.
The Pocket Museum became an idea in Vicky's mind and in Rick's because of COVID.
The Sanger was not open. And we thought, wait, just a minute. I remember that museum and how much we loved it. We wondered if others would love trying to find something just as much as we did.
Inspired by their previous travels and the lack of outside activities, Vicky and her husband Rick established the Pocket Museum in August of 2020 in the alleyway behind the Sanger Theater.
The city had wanted to do something with the alley. It was basically all garbage containers, no one really went through it. And they had discussed it probably for a year prior to COVID. What can we do to activate alleys, to make it so people go through downtown? And 2020 COVID was the opportunity. And because nothing was happening downtown, so many people that worked for the Convention Commission did not have anything to do. They were out of work. And the chef at the Convention Center was not making any food, but so he needed a job, and so he took out the boarded window, put the glass in there, put the shelving in there, And the Pocket Museum was essentially born by, I think it was August 2020 was our first exhibit. For us, it was opportunity meets, people just needed something to do. And so that's how it came to be, really.
The Pocket Museum breathed new life into the downtown area, and it was a safe place for friends and families to get together and have fun outside during such a difficult time. However, they didn't make it easy to find. It wasn't until the Washington Post wrote an article about the Pocket Museum that many people knew it existed. Now that the cat was out of the bag, Vicki and Rick decided they needed to introduce it to the community from within.
We had the museum windows, put the shelves in, and said nothing really to anyone. And we'd had cameras and we'd watch one person come through. They would look and, what is this? They would tell another person. We then put a billboard up that just said, Hattiesburg Pocket Museum, can you find it? Said nothing else, never put an address. For 2 years, we never put an address on the Pocket Museum.
They wanted to bring the community back together to get out and explore the downtown area. Word spread like wildfire on social media, and the hunt for the Pocket Museum began.
I actually saw it on Facebook, and it was back when it first started, so they wouldn't even tell you where it was. You had to come search downtown.
My dad researched a lot, and he wanted to find a lot of fun things for me to do when I first got here to kind of settle into the new town. And so he took me and my mom to the Pocket Museum, and it kind of became my little favorite place to go to.
My sister. I have no idea where she found it. Huh? Okay, the internet.
There are many points of interest inside the museum itself. The main focus of the museum is hundreds of mini dioramas of tiny or pocket-sized people acting out scenes. The walls of the alley are lined with murals painted by local and outside artists, including artist Lissa Ortega.
I've known Vicki for a long time. We are friends, but now much closer friends after working together for so many years. And so she said, there's a window that we'll display objects in, but we really want a reason for people to hang around. That is where I came in. I kind of took it and ran with it, probably more, probably quicker than they were thinking. I was not able to paint on anything historic. So that limits a lot of what you can do when you're thinking that it all has to be on the ground. And so sometimes we could paint like on a concrete base or a pipe or a shutter, something that wasn't historic. And we first started with the Friends tour, and then we did the stream, and we had all agreed that that would be a fun way to have the little mice interacting and doing things, and just to lead people up the alley with that blue stream pulling them up. But then I kept pushing for Abbey Road. I wanted to do levitating Abbey Road, and I've been told that it is one of the most photographed places in Hattiesburg.
Honestly, we thought once COVID ended that we would just retire the Pocket Museum, but there's no way we could do that now. It then developed almost a cult following, and people really loved it so much.
It's such a cool little alleyway, and I love it.
I think it just adds so much character. I'd say this is a really unique and hidden gem in Mississippi.
We always say we have a tiger by the tail. We can't let go. And sometimes I'm like, we would like to just let it retire perhaps. But what really makes it worth it is when I'm in here and I hear all the kids squealing outside trying to find things and discovering things. Or when I'm out in the alley and I meet people from all different countries. We've met them from South Africa that found it, that saw it somehow and traveled here, which it blows my mind still, because there will be a day that I'm not here. And so we want to find someone that has a similar mindset, that is very curious and excited about doing things that are new. And we are hiring someone part-time. They'll work part-time at Sanger Theater, part-time for the Pocket Museum, and we'll start passing on the love. We want to find someone who loves it as much as that we do. So that is coming in the future.